It is so hot in here. I'm glistening already, and I just started. It's hotter than Regis Philbin in here. Okay, so hey guys, welcome back to another video. I'm finally going to be bringing you something that has been requested of me a lot more so on Instagram than on YouTube than on YouTube, and that is showing my whole rhipsalis collection. The reason that it's taken me so long isn't because I'm like gatekeeping it. I feel like I'm doing the opposite on this channel. I'm like trying to influence people to get more rhipsalis. But the reason why it's taken me so long is, one, I felt like my rhipsalis collection wasn't quite large enough for a video, like a dedicated video. And two, I thought that I was going to be able to acquire some wishlist rhipsalis by now, so that I can include it in this video, but I have not manifested it yet. So I'm just gonna do it anyway, and if by some miracle I am able to acquire more different varieties of rhipsalis after this, and we'll just do a part 2 and it'll be totally fine. But my little rhipsalis collection is very humble. I don't have a ton. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 8. I have 8 rhipsalis to show you today in my care, and then I'm also going to be showing you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 rhipsalis that you should keep your eye out for, and ones that I definitely have my sights on and would love to acquire at some point. So we're just gonna get started. So before I bring out the first plant, I kind of just want to spew out some rhipsalis fun facts that I have written down here. And the first one is that it is an epiphytic species in the Cactaceae family. It's native to tropical and subtropical America, with one species found throughout tropical Africa, Madagascar, and Sri Lanka. And I was kind of like deep diving into like how something can be like native to 2 totally different continents, like the Americas, but then also in Africa. And I was reading about something about, like, you know, when they were sailing the seas, like they brought over berries or they brought over plants, and it like, you know, got dispersed there. There's also like theories about birds being the ones that were bringing it over and stuff like that. So I'm not like, I didn't want to get too into it just because like I wasn't sure where to get the most accurate information. But anyway, I just thought that was interesting that it was native to 2 different areas. They are, like I said, they're an epiphytic species, so they're usually I'm gonna scoot over. Yeah, I'll sit here. So they're usually grown perched on trees, and some grow on rocks or in the ground. And it's actually like super interesting to see how like literally it'll just be like wedged between a rock, and it's just like this huge trailing rhipsalis, and it's so beautiful. And it's like, mine is in full soil, no drainage, and the second that it goes dry, it's like it just wilts like crazy. So it's just pretty incredible like how different the rhipsalis in cultivation versus the rhipsalis in their native habitat are. Like, it's so different. But yeah, it's just really cool to see them out in the wild. And unfortunately, I've never been anywhere in the Americas where I've been able to see a rhipsalis in the wild, but it's something that's on my bucket list. It's a weird thing, but like I would just love to see, like, go to an area where I can see a whole bunch of like different rhipsalis. And what's the other thing that's closely related? I can't think of it, but anyway, I would love to see them in their native habitat. And then they have succulent like stems and are usually pendulous, which means that it like loosely hangs. And then the stems itself are usually cylindrical, angular, or flat in shape. And then they do flower. I think they come in red or like pink and yellow flowers. I can't remember if they have any white flowers. There might be. But after they flower, they produce these little small translucent berries along like their little knuckles. And it's just like the most precious thing. I have not had the pleasure of, you know, like witnessing it in person, but I've seen lots of photos and they're really cute. So anyway, just a quick little rhipsalis fun facts. Hopefully I got it right. Please fact check me. But we're gonna just start with the first one, and this is the rhipsalis that I've owned the longest, and it's a rhipsalis capilliformis. This is the rhipsalis that I was calling rhipsalis baccifera for the longest time, and I'm very sorry that I gave you guys the wrong ID for so long. But when you go to do research on rhipsalis, it is so difficult to like find correct information. All of the IDs are just like commonly interchanged because the the leaves are so similar. And I think that like for some that are super similar, like I honestly couldn't even tell between two different kinds. I think the only way you can tell is through the berries or through the flowers. I can't 100% remember. But anyway, this is a rhipsalis capilliformis, I hope. It looks just like the photos that I've seen on the Googs, and I just love this thing so much. I think it's one of the most satisfying plants to touch. I always feel really weird when I say that, when I say I like stroking leaves and I like touching leaves, but if you guys are here, I feel like we're in a safe space. You guys get it. It's nothing pervy, okay? It's just like, it's just so nice. Like, do you ever just, with your plants, it's so nice. It's like, you can hear the ocean. Anyway, one of my favorite plants to touch. I've only grown to love it more the longer I've had it. When I first got it, it was like had like little bangs. It was a really bushy thing, but it was very short. I got this at Lowe's. I think the big basket was like $16, and yeah, it's just only grown and grown. I have chopped this thing several times. I treat it like my micans because sometimes it gets really sparse down here if the light is not right, or like during the winter it can get really sort of like leggy almost. So I just kind of like give it not a blunt cut, but I do like, you know, like how you trim your ends, and I just kind of give it a little cut, and then it just grows back a little bit more bushy. So yeah, that's been how I've been keeping this really nice and lush. I did give a good portion of this to, I believe I gave it to my mom, and I gave it to Alice, and it's just grown so quickly. It's kind of funny, there are a few strands here from like the original pot right here, and you can see how light it is. It's just never grown. This is like the one area of this plant that won't grow. I don't know why, but it's taken off everywhere. But you can see kind of how much it trailed when I first got it. So I don't know, I haven't minded it. It's just kind of a reminder of like where we started, and the leaves have gotten a little bit darker the more light I've given it, and it's also turning sort of like, I don't want to get this in my coffee. It's turning sort of like this purpley pinky color, more so purple, sort of at the knuckles or at the joints, because it's getting a little bit sun stressed under some of these lights, which is really nice. But yeah, the length of this is just getting so long. I've had to like keep moving it up, like upward on this shelf because it's getting so long. But this is probably one of my easiest plants that I have in my collection, and has never, to my knowledge, this plant has never had pests, to my knowledge. Not a single spider mite, not even fungus gnats, really. It's weird. Like, this plant just like repels pests, and I appreciate it. It's just an oddity around here because everything gets pests. But yeah, I just actually find that my rhipsalis collection in general is very resistant to pests, so that's something that I really appreciate about this plant. And yeah, if you're looking for like a cool trailing plant to like add to maybe a standalone shelf, or even like a full plant shelf like this, I know a lot more people are starting to convert like their greenhouses and just like random little shelves to like a full plant shelf, which is like really nice. I recommend that everybody do one of these in their house. It's just so fun to like restyle it and add new plants, remove plants. It's just keeps your space fresh all the time. But I just could not imagine this shelf without this plant. So yeah, loving it so much. It has really always been in a pot with drainage. I guess you would consider it self-watering, where it like has drainage holes, but then it has like a connected drip tray. So it either like gets sucked back up or it evaporates. So it was always in one of those for the longest time, but this plant is actually quite thirsty. And I was just watering it way too much, and it was such a pain. So I did get it into a sort of like richer aeroid soil with like a lot of worm castings, some chunky perlite. I think I even added a little bit of orchiata in here, but it's taken really, really well to this vessel. I think this one was inoculated with great white, and the roots got established so quickly after I repotted it. So yeah, great transition, could not have asked for more. I will say that the only gripe that I have with this plant is the mess that it makes, and it's all over my couch right now. So it might be hard to see, but it pushes out these little like aerial roots, because like I told you guys, it's an epiphytic plant, so like things like this would like attach to the tree and attach to the rock, and it would just kind of, you know, get its nutrients that way, like all the water and whatever, the humidity around. So it like creates these little aerial roots, but then they dry out and then they just come off, or like they just fall to the floor. So I constantly sort of have like a little pile of dead aerial roots below my shelf. But you know, for the love and the happiness that this brings me, it is totally worth it. Second one is this rhipsalis baccifera, which I hope is a baccifera. I got this one as a really teeny tiny plant. It was probably, I think it was like in a 2 or 3 inch pot or something. It was not trailing at all. It was just kind of sticking straight up. And yeah, I really, really like this plant because of sort of like, it's really thirsty right now. I need to water it, but the leaves are much more juicy and thick and like more rigid, hard to bend. When this plant is super hydrated, it's even plumper than this. They're so fat and delicious. I'll throw in a photo of a good photo of a rhipsalis baccifera, like when it's fully hydrated. But I want to say that once this one is fully trailing, I think that it could easily become one of my favorite rhipsalis. Of course, like, you know, I think it's just in my nature with trailing plants to want like the fullest basket that I can find, because I really love these plants for like I said, the texture of it and the feeling of it once it's really nice and long. But I will say that it has been really fun watching this one grow and sort of getting it to where I want it to be. It's just been a very satisfying experience. But I will say that this is probably my thirstiest rhipsalis. It's really strange. I have it in almost the same mix as some of my other ones, and this one just requires way more water, and it's up here. It's on my like floating IKEA shelves. It's not getting a ton of light throughout the day. There's only like one period of time where there's like, I wouldn't even say direct sun, well, kind of direct sun, like partial direct sun on this shelf, but otherwise it's really not getting that much light, like bright, harsh light, but it just freaking dries out so fast. There are different rhipsalis that I think I might even be showing you at the end of this video that look so similar to this, where I'm just like, what is the difference? It literally looks exactly the same. So I don't freaking know what the difference is, but this one, I mean, I just really like it. It's common. I literally just found it at my local garden center, and you can usually find these with like the other succulents and the other like desert arid plants, and they're just kind of mixed in. And because they don't sell a ton of these like big trailing ones very often, it looks a bit unsuspecting. Like you'll see it at the store and it'll just look like this. And you're just like, what is that, you know? I feel like if you're not super into succulents, you kind of just like graze over the like the succulent area of your garden centers. But if you've been looking for one of these, there's a chance that you might find it. People just overlook it because of how small the little pots come. But anywho, yeah, this is the rhipsalis baccifera. It's been really fun to grow. Just keep in mind, in my experience, it's been very thirsty. Next one is one that you see all the time on this channel, and that is the rhipsalis salicornioides. So I'm not going to go super in depth about it, but this is how you know summer's coming. Look at how like burgundy it's turned, and I'm not really sure I like it. This is also very super dehydrated, and that's because it's right in a south-facing window. That water is evaporating so freaking fast, even though it's in a really like dense soil. But I think I'm gonna have to pull this away from the window in the summer because it's just too, I think it's too much. I really liked this plant when it was just like all green, like super green. I'm not really loving this sun-stressed look of the salicornioides. It kind of, I don't know, it kind of makes it look sort of dead. Am I wrong? I don't really like the way that this side is looking. So anyway, yeah, I think I'm gonna pull this back because I really enjoy the leaves when they're a little, like a shade lighter green than this, and without like the purple. But for a lot of people, they really just go for like that sun-stressed look on like any rhipsalis, and I just really like it for like the nice green color. But anyway, I like this one because it just looks kind of funky. It's got all these like little joints. They remind me of little like bobbleheads, and it's just fun. I think the person that I got this from, when I first got it, it was in like a really big pot, and she had it, I think she had it outside, or it was like living partially outside, and then she would like bring it in during the winter. But it was huge, and I had to separate it because there was like no way that I could fit the whole thing in like my apartment. So I split it up. It feels like everyone that I know has a piece of this plant, which is kind of special. But it's grown back so fast already. Like, I just gave it a trim, and I can see where so many little growth points are starting again, and I'm like, you need to slow down. But part of me is kind of thinking maybe I get this into pon. I don't know, it's so thirsty, and I just find with thirsty plants they do so much better in pon. I don't think I would do something like leca. I think leca might evaporate too quickly, whereas pon kind of holds the moisture a little bit longer. Another issue is I'm not really sure where to put a plant like this if it's not in the windowsill. It's pretty big, it's clunky, it drops a lot of its leaves. So that's another, I mean, I don't know if this is everyone's experience, if you're looking for like a downside to some of these rhipsalis. Like if you have dogs or cats that get into plants, or like they like to nibble on things that drop on the floor. Luckily Pudge is not like that. He sniffs it very like heavily first, and if it doesn't have like a foodie smell, he's not gonna put it in his mouth. Like I don't remember the last time that he's ever picked up like a leaf on the ground or something. So I don't worry about that. But if you have dogs or cats that are that way, this probably isn't the one for you, because it does drop these things pretty often and it does get annoying. But that just comes with rhipsalis ownership. So anywho, that's the salicornioides. I don't want to talk too much about it because I feel like I've talked about this plant so many times in recent videos. Okay, this next one is something I called the rhipsalis pentaptera. I'm questioning the ID now because some of them have 5 sides, like the bigger ones have 5 sides. Like this guy right here looks just like a pentaptera. But then like you start to lose some of the sides on some of these. Like this one only has, like this one has 4 sides, this one has 3 sides, 3 sides. And I'm trying to think of the plant. I think it might be the rhipsalis angularis. No, I'm thinking of a different one. Anyway, while I was doing research for this video, I'm like, that one kind of looks like this one, but I'm not sure. It sort of like almost resembles a trigona, but it's not a trigona. I've owned a trigona before. It's not that one, but I really did think this was a pentaptera. It's just with all the new growth coming in, I just question what it is. Or maybe, I think I'm thinking of a rhipsalis rhipsalis quadrangularis. There we go. Oh, wait, there's no such thing as rhipsalis quadrangularis, even though Schumann's treatment suggests it. Well, could be, but the name persists in horticulture. Oh, we consider it to be a cultivar of rhipsalis micrantha. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of a totally different one. But anyway, this is some obscure rhipsalis. If anyone would like to give a shot at IDing it, that would be great. I'd love to know what I have. It's just, yeah, it looks so different in every area that I'm just like, it seems like a case of like a mistaken identity or something. I was hoping that it was a pentaptera, and if this is not a pentaptera, I'm kind of hoping that I can snag one from Arium because they got like a huge stock of it in, and they're like massive. I did show it in my, I think I showed it in my houseplant tour video. I'm not 100% sure, but that is what I want when I think of getting like a really big pentaptera. I did get this from a nursery in Sacramento, and it was a really tiny plant. It was in a, I think it was in a 2-inch pot, and like half of it was rotted, so I had to chop a lot of it off. But when I got it, I was like, oh, I think this is a pentaptera, because again, a lot of them were like this guy, where it had 5 very distinct angular sides. And I don't know if maybe like the new growth is coming in super small because it's so far away from the shelf, or so far away from natural light, and I'm not using any grow lights on that shelf or anything. It's kind of just getting what it gets. I mean, either way, I think it's really nice. It does look pretty different than any of the other rhipsalis that I have in my collection, so I'm happy with it regardless of what the idea is. But of course, we all would love to know exactly what we have. So if anyone wants to take any stabs at what the idea of this could be, I still feel like it could be a rhipsalis pentaptera, but I don't know, maybe you guys know better than me. Next one I'm really excited to show you because this is one of my newer acquisitions. I just got this one from Jing. I didn't even know she had one, and she has like a huge basket of it too, which I will show you here. But this is a rhipsalis micrantha, and I've been wanting one of these for a really long time. It's just I haven't seen it at any nurseries. I haven't seen anyone locally selling it, and this whole time Jing had this huge basket of it just sitting in her house. And I mean, I'm happy and I'm grateful that, you know, she offered me an Alice cuttings. I like jumped at it. I was like, where the hell did you get that? But I love this rhipsalis because it kind of reminds me of the pseudo rhipsalis ramulosa, where it has like the really thin leaves. Like you can see there's like nothing to this. Like it is, I'm not going to say paper thin, but it's very thin. It's very unlike any of the rhipsalis in my collection. It's really like flat and just, it just looks so pretty. And I can't wait until this one gets like nice and big and bushy. And I am hoping that we can get some growth along the base here, because I was only working with 2 cuttings. Of course, I could probably cut one more and fill it in, but I think we're gonna wait for now. This is kind of how I started my rhipsalis paradoxa, which is like really big now. I did add more cuttings later, but meaning I did have just like 2 stems at one point that ended up getting really long and sort of satisfied that need of having like a really long bushy rhipsalis. So I'm just gonna give this one a shot as it is, but if I can get my hands on more of this, like a full like pot of it, I would be so happy. I actually might look while I'm in the States to see if anyone carries the rhipsalis micrantha, because it's so fun. It's just a really cool variety to add to your trailing plant collection. I do believe that this one sun stresses to pink, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it's a burgundy. Not 100% sure yet. But yeah, the rhipsalis micrantha is so cool, and so happy to have added it to the collection recently. Next is my rhipsalis paradoxa that is way overdue for a haircut, and I think I know exactly where I'm going to give it a haircut. Right here. This one just like came out of nowhere. I don't know what happened, but it's like super like mushy and soft. So how about we just cut it now together? The rhipsalis paradoxa is such a neat plant, or a neat rhipsalis, but I will say it's still such a mystery to me. Like I don't fully understand it the way that I feel like I understand a lot of rhipsalis. So yeah, I'm just gonna chop like this whole thing, and I'll just chop here and chop here and then chop this knuckle here. Actually, let's just like remove, I'm gonna just twist and remove this part that's been rotting. Sorry, I just have the need to like smell every plant. I don't know, I have this weird thing, I just like to smell it. I can't really describe, oh, it's got a little bit of rot here too, but it might not spread. I'm gonna take a risk on this one. Oops. It smells like some kind of, not herb, but maybe like some kind of vegetable. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it actually smells quite good. So I'm gonna like propagate these ones, and I'm actually just gonna probably put it in perlite. I could even just like stick it in there, but I don't think it's gonna propagate as fast as if I put it on its own. But it's nice because like even though you saw that that whole stem had like mushed parts everywhere, it's still very much growing. All of this like light green is brand new. So we will continue that, and it's fine because I've been wanting to propagate to add to this plant for a while. I'm trying to get like a nice full pot, but that's not the first time that this has happened on this plant, and I'm not 100% sure if it's caused by like pests or I don't know. It's not a watering thing because the roots are like really healthy. I will say that on one of my other rhipsalis, I did get some of these black parts on some of the joints and the knuckles of it, but it was because of root mealies, and I'm not seeing any root mealies here. At least I don't think I do. I feel like root mealies are pretty like apparent when you have them, and you can sort of spot them right away, but I don't see anything on here. Anyway, it's fine. Forced propagation is cool. Still really long. All of these new leaves started to come in after I used the TPS soil enhancer. I don't know if it has anything to do with that, but like I used it once, and then literally like the next week every single stem started pushing out new growth. But yeah, this one is really fun because sometimes you get like the chains that look like this, where there's not a ton of like angled sides, but then you get something like this where it's like it looks so braided, and it looks just like so angular. I just like how different it is on every single strand. It kind of keeps things interesting. It makes it look like a really interesting plant. And again, just another one that I love to just like touch and hold. It's weird. It kind of reminds me of like, you know, when you were a kid and you'd like put like a towel over your head or something, and it was like really long, and then you would just like pretend it was your hair, and then you would just like flip it, and you felt like that girl. That to me is what this plant is giving when I hold it. It's like, it's almost like the Ariana ponytail. Okay, I'm done. Anyway, I'm done. I swear, I'm done. Paradoxa, you gotta get it. It's such a great plant. I think that if I could choose one rhipsalis to have the biggest, fullest basket, like if someone was like, you can pick one, we'll give you one like 10-inch basket full, like cascading 360 all around, it's gonna be the Paradoxa. Even though I feel like I understand this plant the least out of all of my rhipsalis, and this rhipsalis kind of scares me the most out of all of my rhipsalis, I would still choose it just because it's, look at it, it's so fun. I don't really know how anyone could not like this plant. Even if you're just like only into like the dark, rare, velvety anthurium, I would just have a hard time believing anyone could look at this plant and be like, it's not for me. But you know, to each their own. Next one is my Rhipsalis Paradoxa minor. I do have two of these plants, which I separated, I think, during a repot, and now I kind of want to just put them back together because I don't feel like I really necessarily need two separate pots of it. But this was the plant I was referring to when I was telling you that it was getting the dark joints from root mealies. You can kind of see like where it was happening. It's like now fully calloused over. Well, it was happening like right in these little things, whereas that's not super normal from like the growth that I had all along. Wait, did I tell you what plant this was already? Rhipsalis Paradoxa minor. Anyway, yeah, it did. Someone had suggested on YouTube, because I was like, why are the knuckles turning black? I have no idea what's going on. Someone was like, look for root mealies, and sure enough, there was like a whole colony of root mealies. It was a nightmare to try and get rid of, but I think we're there. I think we finally got rid of them. Anyway, yeah, Rhipsalis Paradoxa minor, in my opinion, not as cool as the Paradoxa, but still very, very fun to have. It's a really nice plant. When you have like really full baskets of these, it's just such like a statement piece. You feel like you're like, I don't know, somewhere in like Mexico, like on a patio eating ceviche. That's just the vibe I get. Anyway, yeah, not as angular as the Rhipsalis Paradoxa. It's not so obvious because they're like much thinner stems. But one thing I do love about this is just like the rigidness of it. It's just such like it has so much weight to it. It's just a great plant. It's such a statement piece. It would look great on its own, or again, to add to a shelf like this. If you're looking for plants like to make like a full sort of like jungle wall, you know, like you want something like this. I mean, it's not full now, but if you wanted something how it looked like before and make it look really wild and crazy, I highly recommend getting rhipsalis, because you can fill a lot of that vertical space with this and just really fill things in instead of just having like leaves, leaves, leaves. This just like really brings a lot of sort of interest to the wall itself. It's a great contrast with like philodendron leaves and therium leaves. I just think these are great filler plants to put here and there, and you don't really have to worry about it that much. You don't have to worry about it, not that you would worry about like a pothos or like some kind of heteroecium, but it's like, in my opinion, it grows much slower, so it's like less maintenance and it just requires less. Like I told you, the only pest I've had on this is root mealies, but in terms of pests on the plants, like you don't have to worry about it, like, you know, like a micans or like a marble queen. Like those are so susceptible to spider mites and thrips, and I just don't have those concerns with any of my rhipsalis. Another fun thing about this plant is that it puts out like leaves sometimes, or new growth with like fuzzies. Can you kind of see? Oh, there we go. Look how fuzzy it is. It's so cute. I don't know what really induces that. It's not, I mean, you can see like the whole plant isn't fuzzy, but I definitely have lots of new growth coming in that's fuzzy. I do think though that it comes off. I don't think that it stays, but I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. So anywho, this one is in a mixture of leca and soil. This one is in a tree fern fiber soil. And I think that's because I was like rehabbing this, or I don't remember why I put it in something with tree fern fiber. It's probably somewhere on my channel somewhere. But yeah, I'll eventually get these potted together, and I'm kind of thinking of hanging it in my window in a little disco ball planter. It's just, they're so expensive. So I've been putting it off, but I do think that this is gonna be a perfect plant to put in my windowsill. The last one is actually a pseudo rhipsalis. So this is called the pseudo rhipsalis ramulosa. I did mention when I think when I got this plant, or I showed this plant last, it's because I was inspired by Amanda Ray Wright, who has one that is super sun stressed, and I'll show it here. It's just like all like bright red and pink, and it's beautiful. So I got this one also from Jing, and all of the new growth since I've put it in my Hoya cabinet has turned like this nice pink color. I'm still having trouble getting like that really, really red color. I do think Amanda keeps hers in a window, and she lives in a much hotter place than I do. So I'm not sure if I'll ever get there with the lights that are in the Hoya cabinet as it is, but I am enjoying like this nice pink color. I'm not, and it's weird because usually on a plant like this, I like it for the green, but this plant specifically, I wanted it so that I could sun stress it. And it's weird because I'm not really even super into like pink and red plants, but this one specifically just like, it tickles a spot that I didn't know that I had. So anyway, yeah, this one's really fun. It's kind of very similar to the rhipsalis micrantha, very skinny, thin leaves, not a lot of, you know, not a lot of meat to them. This one does produce little tiny balls, I think, which are flowers, and they like happen along these little ridges here in between. I was able to get balls on it successfully once, and then they just died off. So geez, yeah, that was very sad. But this is, yeah, this is one that I'm like enjoying a lot. I do wish I had a bigger one, but we're gonna be patient. It's growing really fast. This whole branch here is brand new because I got it just like this from Jing, and then all of this grew in my care. Not really getting a ton of growth down here, and I think it's because it was focusing on this growth point, but that's fine, you know, I'll take what I can get. But yeah, this is another fun one that you can add. It's really been super low maintenance for me. If you're not worried about wanting it to be pink or red or sun stressed, I feel like this one could easily live up there with my other rhipsalis, but again, I'm trying to get this really pink. It's just not really happening at the speed I would like. So that's my entire rhipsalis collection. It's very, very humble and small. But now we're gonna just quickly breeze through a few rhipsalis that I just want to put on your radar. And like, if you're into rhipsalis like I am, keep your eyes peeled for them. Whew. I just filmed the rest like this. I wish I could just film laying down. All right, the first one, don't laugh at the way I pronounce this. I don't know how to say it. Rhipsalis. I feel like it's trapping me. It wants me to say it. Holarii. Holarii? Holarii? We're gonna call it Holarii, okay? Rhipsalis holarii. Sorry, I need to refresh my memory on what it looks like. Oh, yeah. So this one I saw on Instagram first, and the thing I like most about this one specifically is that it's just like one single stem, and it doesn't do that rhipsalis thing where it like branches off at the joints. I forgot what that's called again when it splits into two. Anyway, yeah, I like it because it's just one long strand. It's kind of like the baccifera, but one strand and just like really, really long and thick. And yeah, it does branch off at some point, but like the space between each of like the different knuckles are much longer. And I'll throw in a photo of what I'm referencing. So yeah, I just would love this one because I don't know, I feel like it does look so different than any rhipsalis that I have. I wouldn't even mind just like a teeny cutting of it. I don't even need a full pot. Just like even having like 2 or 3 of those long strands is just so cool. So that's the first one that I wanted to put on your radar. I'm not going to be talking about the flowers on these rhipsalis just because, I don't know, I don't really buy rhipsalis for the flowers, and I don't really have any interest in like deep diving into what each of the flowers looks like. But yeah, I'm just focusing more on the foliage itself. Okay, this next one I want so bad. This is a rhipsalis pilocarpa, and it's so, okay, I don't normally like rhipsalis like this because of like the fuzz, and it kind of resembles like the fuzzy spikes on a cactus. It scares me to touch it. I don't want to graze against it. I don't want to like put my hands on it. And so in that sense, like I'm a little bit hesitant to get it, but I can't get over how pretty it looks. It's so cute, and it just looks like so fuzzy and like precious. And if you're really into like the donkey tail cactus, I feel like you'd really like this one, just because like the little like furs that like grow from it, or the little spiky fur that grows from it, it's so contrasting against like that tiny little leaf, and it's super cute. I've seen some people's plants on Instagram where they're growing it really well, and like the stems itself are really dark, but then the fuzz on it is super white. And it's not like the donkey tail cactus where you can't really see the cactus underneath the fuzz. This one you can very much still see the green part of the plant, which is why I think I like it a lot. It kind of just looks like it has these little polka dots with fur, and it's really, really cute. So I have seen these, I feel, at the store before. I've just never gotten it because as a small plant, some of them look really, really underwhelming, and I don't know. But I do really, really like it. So I think if I do get an opportunity to purchase one, I think I might do it. The next one is a rhipsalis goebbeliana. This one very, very much resembles almost like an orchid cactus, like the queen of the night cactus. It has very similar foliage to that, but I don't know what like the terminology are, or I don't know what the terminology is, but like the grooves along the sides of the stems are much more like, I would say, pronounced than the orchid cactus. And I don't know, it's really cute. I really like it. I feel like if you're a fan of like the mistletoe cactus, or like the Christmas cactus, Thanksgiving cactus, Easter cactus, if you like those plants, I think that you'll really enjoy this one. This one specifically isn't quite on my wish list. I don't know why. I feel like it's really cool and it's really cute. It has such a fun leaf, and I'll throw in this photo here because I don't know, it looks really fun, and I think it would look cute in like a garden or like a balcony or a patio or something rather than inside. And because I don't really have a place like that, I don't know, I'm not super drawn to it. But I can tell you for sure, if I had like a nice patio in the front, or I had like a sunroom or something where I like have a nice lounge area to like read, I totally would get one of these plants. It's just, I can't really envision it inside my space. So I did want to just bring it up though, because I thought it was really interesting. I don't really see a ton of people talking about this one, and yeah, it's really fun. This next one is a rhipsalis horrida, and it's very similar to the one that I just showed you, but it looks like this one has like thicker, it's a little bit thicker, and I believe it's the common name is called the mousetail cactus. And yeah, it just kind of looks like a regular cactus, but like trailing. So exactly like the donkey tail, I would say, but just like super, super thin and tiny compared to that. So I wanted to bring that up because they are very, very similar. I would say the Goebbeliana and the horrida are like, they're like sisters. They could be sisters. This next one is really, really cool. I had never even heard about this one until I started doing some research. Again, it could look very similar to other kinds of rhipsalis, like the rhipsalis baccifera, but there is a slight difference. So this one is a rhipsalis puniciodiscus. Puniciodiscus. I don't know how to say this, but it's got, again, the really, really long leaves. It does branch out, but not as often or not as much as the capilliformis. The leaves themselves, they're not like super straight and like smooth. They almost have like little tiny ridges, but like almost as like little freckles on them. It's hard to explain, and I do think that where the little freckles that you see, that's where the little balls, the little berries will form. This one has a tendency to get super, super long, not super bushy, but just long. I think that's what I really like in a rhipsalis. I don't know, I don't love the ones that branch out too much, where you can almost get like a little bush. I like the long rhipsalis. I don't know how much I can say that and emphasize it, but yeah, this one definitely checks off everything that I love about a rhipsalis. I would love, like, I'm looking at these photos, and the urge, I would just love to like touch. I would love to touch it. It's so pretty. So yeah, keep your eye out for that if you're able to find it. The next one is a rhipsalis clavata. This one's really cool. It's very similar to the I would say the rhipsalis salicornioides, but not quite. It's more like, it looks like they have softer stems where it just like has the tendency to trail. But I mean, the salicornioides does too. They look so alike, but I can see the difference. So I'll show you some like up close photos of what the little arms look like, and they are freaking neat. It looks unreal. It looks like an alien plant, and I love it. Very similar to the growth of the capilliformis, but thicker, and is almost like a hybrid of the capilliformis and the salicornioides. So this one's really, really cool. Another one I want to show you is the rhipsalis clavata. Oh wait, I just showed you that one. The rhipsalis serioides. Rhipsalis serioides. Oh, I think this is the one that I was saying that my rhipsalis pentaptera kind of looks like. I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, it's very angular. Obviously, it kind of looks like it could be a trigona. I don't know, mine kind of looks like this actually. But I'm looking at some like more mature plants, and even like the really thick stemmed ones have very clearly I think it has 3 sides, whereas some of mine have 5. But I don't know, I really don't know, you guys. I feel like I'm like the worst at IDing rhipsalis because they just look so similar. But this is like what I've been seeing online, and I feel like it's really cool. I think that this one has like more pentaptera features, in that it has the really prominent little what is that, like the little balls on the angles of them, whereas mine doesn't really look like that at all. Okay, so the last one I have on the list, but I'm wondering if this is the same plant as a rhipsalis trigona minor. Wait, what? A rhipsalis paradoxa minor? I could be wrong. It looks so much like it. So it looks exactly like a paradoxa, but just thinner. And I'm looking at some of the photos and I'm like, is that not a rhipsalis paradoxa minor? That looks just like my minor. But I'm also looking at a few pictures where I'm like, I can kind of see how that could not be a minor too. The leaves look much thinner, so, and like again, like the ridges along the side, they're really tight, and so it's like very pronounced. It's really cool. I like it. I really love anything that looks like the paradoxa, but to be fully honest with you, it looks very, very similar to the rhipsalis paradoxa minor. Just not quite, but again, I could be looking at, you know, the wrong photo. Like, I'll show you this one. This one says rhipsalis paradoxa var catenulata, and like this looks nothing like my rhipsalis paradoxa minor. It's interesting. I'm like glad that I'm sort of opening up this conversation about rhipsalis, because I would love if more people talked about it. I'm not the person to talk to about rhipsalis. Like, I don't really do a lot of reading into rhipsalis. I don't sort of dive into like the info about them the way that I do with like philodendron and anthurium. If I can open up the conversation about rhipsalis and like what rhipsalis you guys love and like the specific IDs of them, correct IDs of them, that would be great, because I would love, like honestly, I would love nothing more than to expand my rhipsalis collection. That has always been a goal for me from the beginning of like the time that I owned my capilliformis. I was like, I just need all of them. They just make me so happy. And yeah, so hopefully this video does that. I'm sorry that I'm not like able to provide you with like solid, like this is what this is, but again, I have access to all the same information you guys do, and I'm trying the best I can to like, I don't know, try to show you guys plants that maybe aren't as common, like floating around the internet. But again, there's not, I feel like, a ton of information from other hobbyists out there about rhipsalis. So if you guys have any rhipsalis groups that you're a part of, I feel like I'd love to be a part of that, or like if there's any websites or resources that you guys that you trust for rhipsalis, I would also love to be pointed in that direction. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to show you my little rhipsalis collection and show you some that are on my radar right now that I would super love to have. Hopefully I can manifest that this year, but we'll have to see. So anyway, thank you guys for watching another video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you liked it, because it helps us a lot on YouTube, and I will see you in the next one.